Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Shunick Missing Persons. You're in luck because you're in Charlie's makeshift educational studio. Is my whiteboard broken? A little bit. Is this an easel that I use to paint on sometimes? Yes. But it can also act as an educational tool and resource, and that's what we're going to use it for today. So this video is an offshoot of the last one that I just released, which was the first steps in kind of creating and maintaining a missing person campaign. So this is going to be good for after we sort of establish a little bit of community, media, and police support within our community. And this is something that I made up. And I will say, compared to the other things that I've released so far, it's got a little bit of drama, a little tea, a little spice in it, because in the nicest and most professional way possible, I'm about to talk about how we manipulate our support system to give us more support, to increase more views and more visualization on our missing person. That does mean that we're going to have to sort of put people against each other sometimes. And so this theory or this hypothesis that I've created is what I like to call the trifecta of a successful missing person campaign. Tell you what, ain't the best writer. All right, so this is what we're going to talk about today. The trifecta implies that we're going to be talking about 3 different support sources, and we are. So today we're going to be talking about how we use the community, the police, and the media to benefit our missing person campaign. We need all 3 of these to be supportive in our goal, which is again, locating that missing person, to have the most success possible and the most eyes on this case to ensure that we've done everything we can to look for this individual or make sure that people are aware of the situation. And so a lot of this is going to kind of call back to that last video. So again, if you haven't watched First Steps in Creating a Missing Person campaign, I encourage you to, because this is what we're going to do after we've gained that support. So this is where we're going to use the community to increase media engagement. Increased media engagement increases police involvement. Increased police involvement increases community engagement. And so you start to see this nice trifecta work together for the benefit of the missing person. So they're always going to be in the middle here, because that is the most important part, right? And so typically, what happens in missing person cases is usually we're going to be alerting the community and media after we've alerted the police. So obviously we have the missing person report. That's going to have to happen before a lot of these other organizations get involved, depending on the circumstances. If this is such a fast moving thing where your loved one's life is an immediate risk, usually the media and community will pick up on it as soon as you release that information, even without a missing person report existing yet, because you might be doing that at the time as well. But let's just say standard. We file the missing person report, and usually the first way that we're going to communicate with the community and the media is through personal social media posts. And remember, we discussed that this is like us taking our Facebook pages or Twitter accounts or X, whatever, and we're either making a missing person flyer or we're making a missing person post with all the details necessary for the public to know. And so here we're going to start to pick up a little bit more community and media support from them simply seeing that flyer or post and sharing it. And again, ideally, that's going to increase tips going back to the police. And this is the goal with raising more awareness here. It's so that the police get more information. So what else are we going to do to increase this engagement? Let's say that maybe the community is not really getting invested in the missing person campaign. There's a number of reasons why this might happen, and I definitely will address this later. That's some of the more controversial stuff that I think we're going to talk about much later on after all the educational content is created. Let's say community is not supporting very much. Well, then we want to target the media. And this is what I usually talk with families about. We call it raising hell. because this is going to get the media to start being our primary spokespersons, again, to increase police engagement and community support. So we're going to write a press release. The press release is going to contain all information, and this is where we can be more honest with the public. Like, for example, if we feel the police have hit a dead end, we should never say the police aren't doing their job or they're not doing what they can. We can say the police have run out of leads to follow, and we really are looking for more information. We can also use the press release to solicit like security camera footage, and to narrow down locations where our loved one might have been if we have that idea of last known location. So the press release is a really useful tool. The media is then going to take that and they usually put, rewrite it, or sometimes they'll just put the press release out straight out. Remember, we're going to locate them by finding them on social media platforms and on their websites. We're going to email them. We're going to DM them. We're going to private message them and so on. And you can do that with individual reporters and their social media pages. And so the press release is going to start to go out to the community. And again, this is going to increase engagement. So we're going to use the press release for both groups. Usually once the media starts talking about a case a little bit more and more people are going to be interested in it, especially if, they're seeing this missing person all the time. We're talking about what type of person they are. And if we have an idea of what might have happened, usually people are going to get more invested. But even if we don't, then it's mysterious and it sucks, but mystery really does well in the true crime world right now. And, missing person cases are mysterious a lot of the times. We've done the press release. This is going to increase media and community engagement. Now, let's say again, we've gotten a little bit of traction. We need more support. This is when we're going to turn back to our community and start creating other types of resources. We're going to make social media pages and accounts specifically for this missing person. So like the campaign that we called or created for my sister, we called it Find Mickey Shunick Now. And it can be anything. A lot of people just say, please find, help us find, locate, whoever the individual is. But we're going to create public profiles or accounts for this missing person campaign.
So public social media accounts for campaign.
And that way we don't have to keep making press releases and spend time contacting numerous people. This is where we're going to start to release up-to-date information. And this is how we can communicate with the public. Oh, we found out they were actually wearing this pair of shoes instead of the shoes we thought. We found out that their vehicle was abandoned here in this location. If you know anyone in the area, see if they can find video footage and so on, or see if they've seen anything. So we're going to start to increase more and more community engagement with serious professional social media profiles. When we create these types of things, the same idea with the press release, we want it to be grammatically correct, positive. We want to have clear pictures. One of the things I did to continue community support after my sister's case started to die down a little bit was found pictures of my sister just doing various things. So like of her horseback riding, or we found a video of her like being silly that was like maybe 12 seconds long. I put it on YouTube. And again, what we're doing is humanizing our loved one so that they're not just another missing person. And we want to make sure that the community remembers that. So the goal here is to humanize the missing person. And it also allows for them to not identify with us, but empathize with us because we're suffering. And so as the community support increases, we're going to see the media get more involved because they're going to report on stuff that is popular in their community. The media has an obligation to make and write stories that are going to get lots of clicks and such on their pages and on their social media profiles because this is what their advertisers look at. So the more enticing we make this missing person campaign and the more like involvement we get from the community, the more involvement we're going to get from the media. And so these two work together intimately. And keep in mind, people in the media are part of your community. And one of the other things the media can do that I mentioned is we can ask them to start sending this information to their sister stations and seeing if we can do interviews with their sister stations, especially if we believe our loved one's not in the city that they went missing from and they've traveled somewhere else, Or like imagine if they're on a vacation and go missing somewhere else, right? So a sister station is going to be part of like, let's say Fox, but like there's a Fox in New Orleans, there's a Fox in Baton Rouge, there's a Fox in Lafayette. Those are sister stations. They're affiliated stations. So we're going to want to start spreading through the media, contacting sister stations. So contacting outside sources. When we're running a social media page like this, we want to be posting regularly and maybe at least once a day, or a picture or something once a day if you're able to. And one of the things to also look out for is just negative talk, hate speech, myths, rumors, stuff like that. As your case gets more attention here and here, there's going to be more talks and whispers, and a lot of like false information and myths and such will spread, which is inevitable. It's going to happen, but we want to keep that off of our pages. So basically, get rid of all the drama. We're not working with drama. We're not allowing people to spread misinformation. We're not allowing them to say negative things about us or a missing person. And if you have a missing person circumstance that's sort of revolving around something that is perceived as negative by the public, just keep in mind that people are going to say bad stuff. Like that's just part of being online. So we can regulate that by simply deleting it. And I will start making shorter videos about how to do Facebook pages and how to make Twitter accounts and how to sort of maintain your platform there. But, use your better judgment if you're doing this now, and just try to keep drama to a minimum. There are always going to be certain rumors and myths that have some supportive evidence. And if you want to entertain that, that's up to you. But we have to keep in mind that this case might go to court. And the criminal justice system uses everything in order to gauge a guilty verdict or whatever it is that is happening. So just be careful. And so when we see community and media engagement, the community and media are going to start to apply pressure to the police. And tips and information are going to increase, especially if we start to get people active online. Now, something else that the police can do that's going to feed back to increase media engagement and community support is also work with you to allow for certain groups to come in that will increase attention. And I talked about this in the last video as well. They can allow for search and rescue to come in, and they can allow for dog teams to come in. And then something else that we can do that's sort of an offshoot of police work, as I talked about, is also consider working with a private investigator. The police and PIs sometimes will work together, sometimes will not. But private investigators are also going to increase attention. So the more specialized groups that we can bring in, if appropriate, the more the media is going to keep reporting on this missing person case and the circumstances surrounding it. And the more community is going to get involved, because the community often is asked to help and assist with search and rescue efforts and civilian foot searches and things like that. And so here we see this trifecta of a missing person case. And this is why it's necessary to get on board with all three, because they feed back to each other and they're going to continue to increase support across the board. So again, the more community support, the more invested the media will be in the case. The more invested the media is in the case, the more the police will receive information. As police need more assistance if necessary, they bring in special forces that again will increase more media engagement and increase more community support. Is this side so much about financial or emotional support? No, that's a benefit that you can get from that. This is about getting eyes on this missing person case. The more people that know that this person is missing, the more likely you are to get information, and the more likely your missing person is to be recognized. And again, that's the goal. This is why it's important to get that clear picture, kind of figure out what they might have been wearing, if they were with their vehicle or license plate, because we need this in order to have that successful campaign. And this is also going to ideally help us close that case more quickly. Anyway, I did come up with this, but this is one of the things I help families do when they report that the police aren't doing enough, the community doesn't really care, and the media has not really responded to their case. We have to work a little bit harder to make people care, but there's just a few things we have to do initially to really keep that momentum building. So anyway, hopefully this was helpful. And if you have any questions, of course, just let me know. As usual, thank you for joining me in the fight for missing people. And if anyone wants to, interview me about the trifecta, I can't trademark or anything, but I did make this up. It's my hypothesis and it does work.